Hello, this is Dr. Ford with more APA. So there are times when you're going to need to use tables or figures, especially if you're conveying data, organizational charts, uh, visualizations, and such. So why do tables and figures matter? Well, it enhances clarity and the impact of your data. You're supporting your arguments with visual evidence. It reduces redundancy in text, and you must follow APA formatting rules. Here's the guidelines, general guidelines. You label table or figure. So it's table one, figure one, followed by a number. This is bold. A clear, concise title. That's italicized and you use title case. You put the label and the title above the table or figure. Include a note. Now, generally, if you're publishing, you need a note. If you're not, you don't. The exception to that rule would be, let's say you went to a site and found information on like the domains of emotional intelligence, and you adapted that to your own paper to outline the domains. So in that case, you would need to assign a source attribution like a citation and for instance, so you'd have a note there that says adapted from author and the year or no date or whatever, as citations go. So you do need to indicate if you adapted that information from some other source and it's not your own. And the other thing is you want to make sure you refer to the table or figure in the text before it appears. So here is some of the rules. You want to use APA-proof fonts. You want to align your columns consistently, so you either center or left align. You don't have like one column that's centered, the rest left aligned, or vice versa. Everything needs to be either or. Generally, you want to avoid vertical lines. In doctoral work, it's important to follow this rule. In master's work, I don't get as sticky with the horizontal lines. And then you only want to include what's essential. So here's a table example, and I did get this from apa.org, and it is a sample correlation table. Notice here, I've got table one, it's bold, and then the description of what the table includes. And it is italicized, and you do use sentence case. Notice here when I say horizontal lines, there are no horizontal lines. This is how APA publication expects. So if you're publishing or again in your dissertation, you want to make sure that you follow this format. Um, Formatting figures. You want to include charts, graphs, anything that you need that supports your content. You follow the same format, figure whatever, bold with a title in italics below the label. Want to make sure it's readable. So if you copy it from somewhere, make sure that it's clear. Sometimes when you copy from a text or from even other websites, it could be grainy. You want to make sure that it's very clear. So here's a figure example. And again, I did get this from APA. So notice it is exactly the same. The figure, the number, it's bold, and then the description is in italics. So in many cases, like a dissertation, sometimes a thesis, sometimes a capstone, you may have supplemental materials. So this is where you would use appendices. If you have your raw data that you need to provide in a dissertation, you need to provide a copy of a survey that you used. All of these are included in an appendix. If you, let's say you have a sentence survey, this survey was developed with blah, 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 focusing on this and this, then you do not include the survey in the text, you refer to the appendix where it's located. So, and if you have appendices, they need to be on a brand new page. Don't use a page or a section break so that each appendix is on a new page. So, charts and graphs and appendices, they can be placed in the body or the appendix depending on the relevance. Now, if you are interpreting a or discussing, let's say you have an organizational chart, that needs to be in text. Let's say you're analyzing data, that needs to be in the body. So you need to make sure you know where to place your charts, where if they should be in the body or the appendix. Again, that has to do with the relevance. And then also, the appendices need to have APA formatting, include source notes and legends as needed. Here's common mistakes to avoid. Mislabeling your table or figures. I see that very frequently where a lot of times students will put the table number below the table, the figure number below the figure. That is not correct. Make sure that you follow a sequential format, figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, and so forth, so on. Don't forget to refer to your visuals in text. If you have a visual, there needs to be something in the body of your text that is referring to that specific visual. Don't overload visuals. That's clutter. And then don't forget, you need source attribution or notes. Again, I notes are needed if you're publishing, like a dissertation. If you've created a chart yourself, you don't necessarily need a note or an attribution. But again, if you're using somebody else's ideas, make sure you have them. Here's your final tip. Make sure that your visuals are providing clarification. Don't over provide visuals, tables, and figures. Make sure you keep your formatting consistent and always follow APA's official guidelines. Here is the website for the citations, references, tables, paper format. You can find this here, and that's it. Good luck with APA.